Don Mazzella here again for Small Business Digest. I've always been a firm believer in PR, and with us is Emily Berg. She's got a PR company, but she's here more to tell our audience why it's so important. Emily, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Don. I love your show and I'm so happy to share some insights and get to know your audience a bit more.
Well, our audience is made up of primarily people under 50 employees, but oh, as we ask all our guests, Emily, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little then about your company, and finally your website.
Absolutely. So, my name is Emily Reynolds Berg. I can go by Emily or Emily Berg or whatever you decide. I own our public relations firm, and we have a sister company called Our Creative, which is where we do branding and websites. That's a newer company, a newer arm of our company. And you can find us at rprfirm.com. That's rprfirm.com. And we'd love to get to know anybody who's interested in knowing a bit about PR and how to benefit your business.
Hmm. But Emily, tell us a little bit about yourself first. Our audience always wants to know more about you.
Well, I'm an extrovert, so just tell me to talk about myself and we'll extend the show. Um, so I grew up in upstate New York. I love travel. I love people. I love exploring. I'm a boutique hotel seeker. And I
How'd you
got
get into PR?
so I got into PR because I love people and I love writing. I wrote a book in 2008, and from there it was published and took it a life of its own. And from there, businesses, when I would meet them and just kind of organically get to know people in my neighborhood and town. I was living in Orlando at the time. Uh,
Oh, I'm going to stop you right there. What's the
sure.
name of the book?
Beyond Burning Bras.
Oh,
So it is a book on the waves of feminism and different ways of empowering ourselves as activists beyond burning our bras. So
okay.
even if you don't have a bra to burn, you can still be an activist.
Well, many of those women in those days didn't have a bra because they wanted to go without a bra.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's coming back around, that trend.
Okay.
So,
So
so
when did you start your firm?
I started my firm right around the time that I wrote my book and started to do freelance. So it wasn't under the name our public relations at the time. I tried on different hats as a freelancer, and then I had a marketing job where I did kind of everything. But at the same time, I always kind of built my own relationships and did things on off hours. And then I got a job at a PR agency in Austin, and I said, "This is really great and fun, but I want to kind of do it my own way." And so that was in 2010. And from there, I have been doing my own thing, my own way. And I haven't looked back once. And I always say, if I'm not happy waking up in the morning, answering calls, answering emails, doing what I love, then I'm going to find a new job. And so far, it's been the past 13 plus years of doing what I do, and I'm still waking up happy and joyful and grateful about what I get to do for businesses.
Okay, question. Where are you located now?
So full circle, I'm back in upstate New York. My husband and I are renovating a house on a mountain, and we lived in Nashville. We lived in Texas, all throughout Texas actually, and my husband's from California, so we kind of have all of our bases covered in the U.S. But when COVID hit, we are adventure seekers, and our kids were out of school. We have 5 kids, and we decided to renovate an RV because when else in life could you just hit the ground running? So many people were doing that. and we were among the many. And then we were like shopping around. Well, we love Nashville and we have a business entity there, but where could we end up, having a great experience in kind of a next chapter? And sure enough, it was the place I call home, and my husband loves it here as well. And so here we are.
Mhm. And you have 5 children.
We do, yes. It's a blended family.
Oh.
So we each had 2 when we got married, and we have Opal as our blend baby. So she's on our website. You'll see she's the baby that gets to be on the website because she was at our photo shoot.
Mhm.
We took the photos, so she kind of got in there. But yeah, we juggle family life, renovating a house, and running 2 essentially full service marketing and PR agencies. So
Do you work together?
we do, yeah.
Oh.
I call it a boutique mom and pop shop. So it's customized services, and we have the yin and yang going. My husband's an introvert, very strategic. I'm the extrovert, very creative. And so we kind of collaborate on a daily basis. And my husband is a web developer and does all of the coding and all that kind of stuff, the strategic minded brain. So we decided to start an arm of our public relations to be our creative, which he runs.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
let's back up. Let's back up now.
Okay.
You're here because we want to talk about PR.
Yeah.
I'm a small business. I come to you and I say, Emily, I have a business. I sell widgets.
Okay.
What are some of the questions that I should be asking you, and what are the questions that you would ask me?
That's a great question, Don. So let's start with questions to ask me. As a PR representative and a PR firm, there's something very distinct to ask. What is your specialty? Is it publicity or is it public relations? So that's an
Well,
important question.
stop right there.
Yes.
What's the difference?
So the difference is publicity is a lot of kind of what the world would know as like a PR stunt, or something like in the paper that grows your interest, but it might not be factual. So a lot of times celebrities have a relationship that's in the papers and in the news that it's cultivated by their publicist who is focused on publicity, or a brand will have, billboards and artists making, a big splash about something for publicity versus public relations. The two are very closely related. Public relations is mostly focused on earned media. So a public relations specialist is going to be sending out what we call pitches. We're going to be coming to you with your widget that you're coming to us with, and asking questions as if we were a journalist, writing different angles to your widget. So if you're a product like a widget, or if you're a business like offering a service or hospitality service or a tech business or something like that, we would talk to you about your services components and that kind of thing. So a person who works in PR can really, the specialties in PR, the 2 main specialties are publicity and public relations. So that's a really important thing to know, because most of the time you're really going to want that earned media versus somebody who really specializes in the big splash, the high dollar, publicity stunts or something of that nature. So that's an important first question. A second question would be my specialties. So you would want to look at potentially my website or some of my background information. For myself and my firm, our specialties are hospitality, small businesses, and products. So we work and technology. So we work within those 4 main pillars, as we call them, in our firm. And those are what we do really well. Those are the relationships we have with media contacts that are second nature to us. So you want to make sure that you would vet somebody who's in your specific industry. And then the third thing that you would want to ask is some recent press that they've garnered for their clients. So those should be on their website, or they can talk about it, or they can kind of tell you how they are going to navigate your business or your product. So those are the three main things.
Okay. And what questions will you ask me?
So the first question I'd ask you is, what are your goals? So I want to know, is it, you have a big thing happening, you want to do that big splash, more publicity, or do you want kind of to cultivate that brand awareness, that trust online, and have the earned media? And then the second thing I would ask is, what are some things that are happening that would be newsworthy or new to your business that we could talk about? So it might be a launch, it might be an opening, it might be something that's piquing your interest of why you would pick up the phone or email myself and company. And then the third thing would be, how us working together, what would be success for us? So I would want to know if it's on the cover of a magazine, or just overall brand recognition, that you're doing something really amazing, but nobody really knows about you. You're in your own little corner of the world. You're like my husband, who would be totally fine being a hermit on a hill. And some people just are not natural networkers. And so you need to hire myself and firm or somebody like us to be your natural networkers to help get things moving and grooving out in the world. So success for everybody is going to look differently. And that's very important for us, because, if we get somebody on the cover of a magazine, for instance, but their main goal is to just have local media exposure, they're going to look at that and be like, oh, great. That might have been really hard for us to get, but they might not appreciate it if that's not their main goal. So that's very important. And it's often the hardest question as a small business to answer, because as you know, Don, it's really hard to know what success is looking like when you're calling an expert for their opinion and their advice. So I have to kind of dig sometimes to get that answer. But those are the three questions that I would ask.
Okay. Your website again for our audience?
rprfirm.com.
Okay. Oh, all right. But should a small business have PR?
So yes and no. I would love to say yes, every business needs PR. I have a lot of clients that do a lot of good PR on their own, and they hire somebody like us to help them manage something that they already have kind of going well, because they need to focus in other areas. If you're one of those people and you can still manage your own outreach and get yourself in your local media outlets, get yourself your brand recognition in the right hands, then maybe you don't need our services. But if you're somebody who either does it well on your own but needs to focus on other things, or somebody who does not do that well, like you're somebody who goes to a party and you sit in the corner and you just aren't connecting, probably you're not somebody who's going to do that for your business. So it's like anything. I'm the world's worst when it comes to managing my bookkeeping. I think the Lord every day that I have Tammy, who's my bookkeeper, and she's been with me since the beginning of my company, because I'm just not good at that. And I want to focus on other things. So if networking and growing your business to your community or to media outlets is just not your thing, then you definitely should be calling somebody to help you, because the value of it is second to none. I mean, if you see somebody in the New York Times or any sort of major magazine and they have that accolade attached to their sign or on their website, you're going to be more likely to patron that business, and you're going to be more likely to pick up their product, or pick up, the phone and seek their service if it's got that accolade behind it. So that's definitely something I encourage, because it's forever. It's different than advertising. It's a forever stamp that you can have, versus advertising runs out when your budget runs out.
Okay. Well, can you give us a couple of examples of things you've done that have helped small business?
Absolutely. I have three specific examples of things that I'm really proud of. One is a nonprofit for animals. They have three locations called the Gentle Barn. And we just recently in March, we had a 6-month campaign with them. Towards the end of the campaign, we got them into the New York Times. And the story was about animal marriages. And it went viral. It started in the New York Times and it went all over the internet. And it was through a relationship that we have with a writer who writes for the New York Times that picked up the story. We helped massage the interview questions and making sure that our client was profiled in that type of outreach, because they do work with animals and they host animal weddings, which is such a unique
What
feature.
is a animal wedding?
So an animal wedding is when two animals are in love, just like humans, and the humans in their life help facilitate and curate a wedding. So there's a lot of dog animal weddings. If you read the article, I'm happy to send you a link. It's really cool, just like the different takes on it, on animal weddings. So that's one thing. Another thing was a gentleman called me. His mom had passed away and said, "Hey, I have a really unique opportunity for you. I want to get my mom's obituary into national media. I would like to have her name be remembered." And I had never done an obituary pitch before. And so I said to him, very honestly, I've never done this before, but hey, I have the connections. Let's see what happens. Sure enough, the next week we were in the Wall Street Journal, and his mom's story lives on, and his family gets to have that as a moment of keeping her alive and the memories. So be on the lookout. You never know. I might specialize in obituaries as my long list of accolades. And then the third thing is partnerships that are between our clients. So we work with two pitmasters right now as we speak. They're having a pop-up and they're promoting a product as well. That's a third client. So we have three clients having one event today. One is a Twang beer salt, and they sponsored micheladas at this pop-up for tacos in a taco pop-up in Nashville with two pitmasters, one from Texas and one from Nashville, and they're getting together and they're creating this really fun event together. And I went,
Let me interrupt you.
yeah.
Chocolate, did you say? I'm sorry, I didn't. What are they popping up?
Oh, tacos.
Oh,
Tacos.
tacos. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second chocolate. I would say chocolate's my first go-to, and then tacos would be second.
Okay.
And
All
then
right.
third. So yeah, they're two guys from different parts of the country, both clients of ours, and then a product client of ours, the Texas beer salts. We coordinated them to get together and to have an event together. And so we garnered some local media and some, people to kind of know about this event. And so those kinds of things, I could list those all day long. Those kinds of like, they're not the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. They're the everyday connections, the relationships, the people kind of benefiting from each other that wouldn't have known each other had we not networked them to directly. So I really love that. I love, again, going back to being an extrovert, I love people. I love connecting people. And so that's what gives me joy. That's what gets me excited about what I do.
Well, why are you doing it in Nashville?
So it's a Nashville client. So they have a restaurant in Nashville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have a big presence in Nashville, our PR. We have a team there and we have a lot of clients there. So we're able to help facilitate it there.
Okay. Well, we're coming to, well, let's see, we're coming to the end. Well, we have a few minutes, so
Okay.
we'll keep going. Now,
Okay.
having said that, do you do book publicity?
Yes, we do. We help authors. Some have already written a book and they kind of want to represent and speak and go out in the world themselves to kind of be more of the face of their book. And some people have written a book, they already have their brand kind of out there and they need people to know about the book. So we have done both, and sometimes we work along with publishers. As we all know, publishing is super overworked, and so there's often one publicist working on, a whole list of books. So we've often helped, come in and say, hey,
Hmm.
this is our client, we'll help share the lists, the media lists, and the outreach for you. So yeah, we love authors. We love helping people.
Okay, well, I'm an author. I come to you and I say, I have this book. Let's say it's on, again, widgets. Um,
Okay.
you know, for people who don't know, widgets were you used on clipper ships, and they're no longer anyway. So, um, I want to go out and I want to get my book sold. What would you, how would you go about doing it?
That's a great question, Don. So, first of all, I would want to get to know more about your book, you, why you wrote the book, a bit about, your credibility as an author. If you're just kind of somebody who has been in the industry, your own industry, and then decided to write a book, or if you were asked to write a book, I need to collect a lot of information. As you can tell, I
Hmm.
have lots of questions initially. What I would then do with that information you provide me is I would come up with some pitch angles and media pillars is what they're called. So I might pitch you as an author that's an expert in your field as one angle pillar of content. The next would be the book itself, why it stands out, why it's unique, why you need to read it. The third would be um, the benefit of this book in our community and in our world. So if it's helping people understand more about, widgets and how they impact us, then we would take that as kind of the essence of the book, the take home messaging, and that would be the third pillar of content. So from those content pillars, then we reach out to people like yourself that are media outlets that specialize in various topics, and then we would customize a pitch. So if you know anything about our firm, we're very good at pitching. Oftentimes clients, or excuse me, media outlets take our pitching and repurpose it into an op-ed or an article or something of that nature for their own outlets, because it's well written and they can just repurpose it, and we're often very happy about that. And then so you would ideally get some earned media from that outreach of those three pillars. And then we'd love to do interviews, any sort of, in person or Zoom or something of that nature where people can really get to see your face as the author and connect your face with the book. Because as we all know, personalization is really what sells. People want to feel connected to anything that they're purchasing. So we really like to highlight the person behind the book when we're working with authors.
Well, another question is, how do you get paid?
Me or the author?
You.
So we work on so RPR, we work on retainers. So often it's an upfront fee, and then we will tell you each month the scope of work and how we're utilizing that fee. We have what's called a launch program. So if you're a really small business, like you're a one-person show, you can apply for our launch program. We take 2 a quarter. And occasionally I'll slip in 3 if somebody applies and they're just like really like them. I just recently did that. And it's a great startup, solopreneur, mompreneur, book author that's, never had publicity before. So the rule of the launch program is you've got to be a from scratcher. So that means you haven't worked with PR or publicity before, and you want to get yourself out there, and you've kind of been doing it on your own to some degree. So it's a startup type of program, and it's our best bang for your buck kind of thing. So you'll get some great exposure, our expertise, and we kind of walk you through the experience of getting yourself out there. So it's not a do-it-yourself type of thing where we're just passing the puck to our client in the launch program. We do a lot of the work, but we get you to know how your business or book or entity is seen and received in the world. So it's my passion project. Honestly, I felt like I wanted to work with super small startup businesses that didn't have the biggest budgets in the world, but I also can't offer that to everybody, or my business wouldn't be flourishing to be able to, you know, support my staff. But it's something that is an option for people that are listening in that are really interested but worried about the price tag of PR, because PR can be pricey.
I know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're almost at the end. You have 1 minute to leave what you want to say to our audience.
I want to say thank you for listening. If you made it this far and I didn't bore you, then we should connect via email and get to know each other a bit more. And thank you so much, Dawn. You're lovely and make me smile. And yeah, thank you for this opportunity. I love what I do. I'm passionate. So anybody and everybody who has an interest in PR, you can go to our website, set up what's called a discovery call. It's completely free. We will get to know you, help you understand what PR is, how we could potentially help you. And if you're not interested in that and you want to just learn more, we have a great series on our blog, on our website, that has do's and don'ts, what to ask, what is a retainer, all of those questions. I mentioned a lot of buzzwords, and our website really defines that. So please take a look, and I hope to hear from you all soon. Thank you so much.
Give them the website.
www.rprfirm.com. And I'm Emily, and please reach out.
Well, on that note, we say thank you.